For 10 years in alien prison, this human studied quantum xenoludology and learned how to always win in any alien game. Jax Grayson materialized from the Krill detention complex after a decade of sterile confinement. 10 years locked within geometrically precise walls had not broken him. It had honed him. He carried no lingering resentment, only an alien calculus etched into his mind. Quantum xenoludology. This forbidden science, absorbed from stolen Krill texts and years of silent observation, was the key to manipulating probability itself, to winning any game against any species. 2 standard years post-release, Jax, trailed by his brother Billy, entered the Crimson Mesa Spire Casino on Ethelgard. Below, Viridian Canyon City pulsed with light, a sprawling incision of neon and ambition in the desert rock, humanity and alien species intertwined. Above, Crimson Mesa Spire, Zealer's crystalline fortress, pierced the ochre sky beneath the twin suns. Their mission: collect a debt from Zealar, the Krill crime matriarch who reigned over Ethelgard's lucrative gambling dens. Zealar's human bodyguard, Paul, voiced reservations. He's reckless. Krill's strategists were formidable, Zealar exceptional even for her kind. Zealar, a figure sculpted from obsidian and angles, dismissed his caution with a chitinous inclination of her head. Jax was granted access. Her multifaceted eyes, twin pools of liquid night, scanned him with cold, alien assessment. Ascending in the gravity lift, Jax felt the familiar vice of claustrophobia tighten around his lungs. Augmented bodyguards, chrome and flesh, subtly gestured towards the 20 levels of stairs. He swallowed the metallic taste of panic, a phantom of his Krill cell, and entered the lift. At the high-stakes table, holographic cards flickered into existence, shimmering illusions of chance. Jax's opening bet, a carelessly tossed chip against a hulking Grocknar gambler, vanished, a deliberate misdirection. He was weaving a tapestry of false impressions for Xyler, manipulating perceptions as deftly as he calculated quantum flux. Mirroring the wager directly against Xyler, the credits flowed towards him, a digital cascade. Elementary probability? Xyler's voice, a modulated sibilance, hinted at amusement or its Krill approximation. Bags thrumming with purloined credits, Jax and Billy turned to leave. Zack, a whisper in the city's underbelly, intercepted them. They know. He pressed a data chip into Jax's hand. Guidance. Jax instinctively chose the stairs, a primal aversion to confinement surging. But as he pivoted, a wave of vertigo slammed him. He crashed to the polished floor, the data chip skittering free, its holographic projection flickering to life. Lift. Now. Nanomed technicians swarmed him, whisking him into a diagnostic bay. Zealar, observing from her Mesa-top command spire via Ethertech surveillance feeds, conveyed calculated concern to Paul. 10 years. Krill prison. Retribution is logical. Xyler tasked Sorter, her most lethal instrument, with preemptive termination. Nanomed scans yielded frustratingly little. Rest. Await results, a weary medic advised, his voice echoing in the sterile chamber. Billy departed. Jax, assigned a security escort, grav-cared back to his HAB unit. As they arrived, crimson laser fire ripped through the canyon air. His escort vaporized. A discarded data chip glinted on the Duracrete. Ground level. Advantage. Diving, Jax narrowly evaded a searing energy bolt. He lunged for his grav car, finding the driver a smoking ruin. Pursuers converged. Then Zack materialized from the canyon shadows, hauling Jax into a waiting stealth black Stellaris automotive lowrider. Sorter, reviewing sensor logs on his Cosmotech Riscomp, registered disbelief. Impossible. Zero probability of evasion. To Xyler's interrogation, he offered a less quantifiable explanation. Premonition. Static in the weave. Zack delivered Jax to Avi, his enigmatic partner. Avi, with unsettling ease, displayed Jax's private medical file on an Apple Stellaris datapad. Diagnosis confirmed. A rare xenodegenerative syndrome. 72 hours. Protection offered. Terms non-negotiable. Immediate credit transfer. Absolute obedience. 3 Earth Standard Hours to accept. Jax departed, convinced of a meticulously crafted con. Independent hospital labs confirmed the grim prognosis. Still suspecting Krill manipulation, Jax consulted a discreet canyon rim clinic staffed by a grizzled human doctor known for his discretion and his Rolex Chronos timepiece. The diagnosis remained unchanged. Cold steel of a blaster barrel against the doctor's temple ensured unvarnished truth. Jax, facing mortality, authorized the credit transfer from his ledger's stellar vault. He returned to Avi and Zach, galactic loan facilitators, Avi clarified, as they cruised in the lowrider through Viridian's pulsating canyons. Your capital fuels our enterprise. After a disbursement to a quivering, indebted insectoid client, Avi steered the conversation back to the Krill. Xylar. The entanglement. Xylar, it transpired, had employed 3 human buffoons, the Eddies. Desperate for a card specialist before a critical interstellar game, they'd strong-armed Jax, leveraging threats against Billy's kin. During the game, xenophobic slurs escalated into open blaster fire. Power grid overloaded. Credits vanished in the chaos. Jax's name conveniently surfaced. Krill investigation followed. To guarantee his silence, threats against his niece tragically culminated in his sister-in-law's accidental death. Jax absorbed the sentence. 7 years in Krill solitary shielding Xylar's operations. The Eddies, in their subsequent ineptitude, were permanently integrated into Canyon Foundation reinforcement. Following further loan transactions, Zach deposited Jax at a secluded canyon motel. Simultaneously, Xylar and Paul contacted Sam Gold, a phantom legend in the galactic criminal pantheon. Gold remained ethereal, but they secured an audience with Lily Walker, his razor-sharp advisor. She brokered the powder exchange for Xylar, her voice a silken rasp, reminding her of Gold's disdain for exposure and non-existent tolerance for failure. Jax wired more credits. A chess match with Avi drifted into prison recollections. 14 years standard or 7 in isolation. Solitary it had been. His cell, nestled between a chess prodigy and a master con artist, both eternally silent towards him. Yet, through clandestine library book exchanges, a silent curriculum unfolded. For 5 years they communicated via marginalia, revealing a formula to dissect any game, any opponent. Prison break plotted. Jax was promised inclusion, then vaporized, leaving only a data slate. Superior adversary. They had absconded with his hidden reserves. Jax, upon release, refined their formula, amassing a fortune across interstellar casinos. Days bled into a monotonous cycle of credit dispersal. Jax, assigned collection duties, found himself incapable of inflicting pain on the desperate. Avi and Zach, meanwhile, enacted their grand design. A commandeered SpaceX Starhopper freighter, a precisely calibrated tractor beam, and a surgically breached wall yielded the safe containing Xylar's powder consignment for Lily. Discovery ignited Xylar's Krill fury. Paul received his directive. Retrieve the powder. Neutralize the thieves. By any means necessary. Paul, with calculated pragmatism, contacted Lord John, Triad Kingpin, Xylar's rival. John, seizing the opportunity to destabilize Xylar, supplied the powder at a predatory markup. Jax, Zach, Avi, and their crew infiltrated the Exchange Hotel, tunneling into an adjacent suite. Breaching the wall, they vented soporific gas. Xylar's Krill enforcers and John's Triad muscle slumped. Credits and powder extracted. The scene meticulously fabricated to frame Xylar for betraying John, and vice versa. A final nanomed scan. Diagnostic anomaly. Initial readings. Inconclusive. No pathology detected. Jax was inexplicably healthy. He contacted Avi, demanding answers. Soon, Avi's voice, devoid of inflection, promised. Patience, Jax. Paul's investigation tightened its coils. Jax's name surfaced repeatedly. Xylar's kill order became absolute. Jax returned to the motel. Avi and Zach awaited. Enforcers, interior breach. Jax bolted. Pursuers surged. One lost footing, blaster fire echoing, self-inflicted. The remaining enforcers discovered the body. Jax was now designated cop killer. Confronting Avi and Zack, Jax met their knowing gazes. They revealed their awareness of Jax's redacted Eddie's history. The Eddies had indeed awaited his prison release, seeking vengeance for their Krill termination. Jax, to survive, had brokered a deal. Loan percentage kickbacks. Initially one Eddie, then all three, escalating their demands. Jax paid each with the other's shares, a closed loop. The Eddies, credit exhausted, borrowed from Xylar, sparking her interest in their miracle earner. Jax, flush with formula-derived winnings, had chosen that precise moment for a family respite. Xylar, double-crossed, had efficiently erased the Eddies. Xylar dined at a panoramic canyon rim restaurant when enforcers relayed Jax's escape. Sorter identified John's operative thinly disguised as waitstaff. Blaster fire erupted. The operative wounded, not neutralized. In her dying breaths, she returned fire, severing Xylar's digit amidst the panicked diners. Sorter was dispatched to Lord John's fortified canyon stronghold. Jax joined Zack and Avi on a rooftop grav golf course overlooking the glittering canyon sprawl. Sam Gold, Avi explained, voice toneless, a construct. Ego made manifest. Greed deified. Power resides only in belief. The revelation. Control was an illusion. Power a game of perception. Jax liquidated his remaining assets, channeling them into anonymous charitable foundations, then infiltrated Crimson Mesa Spire, a ghost in the crystalline labyrinth. He confronted Xylar in her private chambers. Internal voices clamored, Ego's desperate defense. He delivered a Krill-appropriate apology for the credit manipulations, acknowledged her dominance, mentioned the philanthropic donation in her name, and retreated. And wow. To confront his lingering phantoms, Jax selected the gravity lift. It shuddered to a halt, level 13. Panic flared. An internal reckoning commenced. Ego's final, desperate stand. He surrendered. Liberation bloomed in acceptance. The lift resumed its descent. Ground floor. Xylar awaited. Blaster extended. Ego shattered. Rationality extinct. Jax walked past, radiating an unnerving serenity. Xylar's incomprehension twisted into incandescent rage, then collapsed into humiliated sobs. Dawn painted the canyon rims crimson and azure. Paul presented Xylar with local news feeds. Xylar Foundation pledges millions to canyon welfare. Her name emblazoned across every holoscreen. Fleeting satisfaction curdled. Paul's final report? Jax possessed the powder. He had orchestrated everything. Paul, Sorter, and enforcers descended upon Billy's Hab unit. Billy, sensing betrayal, secreted his daughter. Discovered, interrogated, brutalized. Billy's denials, ignored. Sorter's resolve fractured as Paul's methods turned towards the child, coaxed from hiding by her terrified whimpers. Sorter's ego shattered. He turned on his former comrades, blaster fire precise, lethal. A momentary hesitation. Sorter fell. Lily Walker materialized in Xylar's command center. A somber wreath, Gold's displeasure at the unwanted publicity. No further opportunities, Xylar. Panic consumed her, a Krill system crash. Avi and Zack guided Jax and the powder into Xylar's deserted casino. Avi finally checkmated Jax, the game a quiet denouement. He revealed the final truth. He and Zack had been the cellmates, the silent mentors. They had always intended to guide Jax, but he had been unprepared to perceive the deeper game, implying they were facets of Jax's own subconscious, architects of his liberation. Casino security materialized, converging. Jax was escorted to Xylar. His niece stood beside her, a blaster aimed at the child's fragile form. Powder bags dropped onto the crystalline floor. "It's over," Jax reassured his niece, his voice calm amidst the encroaching chaos. Xylar's ego imploded. "Dead man's immunity," the voices echoed in her fractured Krill mind. Blaster to her own chitinous skull. Discharge. So, Xenos thought they could outsmart humanity? Seriously? Turns out, all it takes is a little quantum xenoludology and good old human grit. If you're tired of alien superiority complexes and ready for more stories of human ingenuity kicking galactic butt, then enlist in the human vanguard. Subscribe now, before the Krill figure out YouTube algorithms.